Andrews Pete was signed by the Raiders earlier this week, finishing his 9-year tenure with the Saints. Are we surprised that he didn't stay in New Orleans?
No, I'm not necessarily surprised. I mean, I think that the writing was kind of on the wall that they were moving on from him when they signed Uli Udo and just kind of let him linger out there. I kind of thought maybe there was a chance that he possibly could have ended up coming back when, if they didn't do anything in the draft, if they got shut out, I think that would have been a good place to go. But I do kind of feel like it just felt like the writing was on the wall. The thing that kind of surprises me is the perception of this of how it turned out because
Crazy.
now he left and everybody's upset. And a
Right.
year ago, it was like, I hate the way you walk. I hate the way you block. I hate the way you play. I hate everything about. And it's just kind of like now they love him. So it's surprising to me to see the perception. It felt like yesterday on Twitter, like it was a
Right.
massive loss, and like this dude was just
Hey, man,
disparaged.
At
every
the
single
end of the
time.
day, family matters.
It
No
does.
matter how much they, make you mad and you hate what they do, family
Yeah,
matters.
he's our punching bag is the belief of the Saints fan base. Like he can't be somebody else's.
But look, I still feel like it would have been smart. I would feel. I can't sit here and lie. Like if he was on the team, I would feel better about the whole perception of the offensive line because the floor. My problem with Uli Udo is I don't know the floor.
Yeah.
He has one season where he was a starter. He didn't really block that great in it. Like maybe getting in a different scheme or whatever is going to help. And the people that he was with wanted him back. So that kind of tells you a little bit something about him. But to me, it just feels like if they had Pete on this team, you at least have a baseline at three different positions. Like I feel like you could plug and play him if you had to. And
Yeah.
he's not great on the other side, but like
Oh,
if you
I say two different positions.
yeah, but if you push come to shove and there's a fire sale and you have nobody there, like you could at least stand him out there and you got a big dude standing over there. So there's at least that. But yeah, you're right. Two positions
Yeah.
and
Two positions he's played well.
two positions they have no answer for.
Right.
Yeah,
So
their two biggest weaknesses.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Look, to answer the question though, I was not surprised as of this week. I mean, our reporting had told us that boy, they're moving on from Andrus Pete. It was sort of a never say never thing, but clearly we're not actively making efforts to bring Andrus Pete back. But rewind to March, and I am surprised this is how it ultimately turned out. I really thought they'd find a way. I mean, at first, we were talking at one point like, did they pay $10 million? Did they pay $8 million for Andrus Pete? Is he worth that much? And then it felt like, well, it'll only cost $4 million, and then it started to feel like maybe it only cost $2 million. And as the price kept getting lower, I am kind of surprised that they didn't want that safety net at those two positions. They signed other guys for a lot cheaper. Udo, this week they signed Shane Lemieux, Justin Herron. Their histories don't give you a lot of confidence, but it just really falls in line with they are not spending money on backups. That's where they save their money. They're catching up on the cap this year. And if you're not a young ascending player who could become a starter or exceed your expectations, they're not just they're not buying insurance this year is what they're
are
not
they
doing.
going to regret it?
Yeah. Oh, they very well might. But I guess the state of this Saints team now, which is what a lot of people have sort of wanted, that a lot of people want them to tear it down and rebuild everything.
Mhm.
But the state of this current Saints team now is we're catching up on the cap, and we're going to find out what we've got in Nick Saldiveri, in Landon Young, in Trevor Penning, and like we're going to sink or swim with those guys. And if that means we only win 6 games, well, at least we saved money and found out if we need to rebuild that position. If you just plug guys like Andrus Pete into those positions, you're just delaying the inevitable a little more, I guess. So, I'd feel better about their team if they had a veteran backup safety, if they had Andrus Pete here, if they had a better veteran backup quarterback. I'd probably maybe add a win to my prediction total if they had more depth, but instead we're going to see a lot of these young guys that we talked about in the buying stock segment.
So overall, what would his tenure in New Orleans be categorized as a first round pick?
Man, like as a first round pick, I feel like it was, and it's weird because he made a bunch of Pro Bowls. Like, and I still don't really know how. Like, he was never that popular. He wasn't that like I don't understand. So I don't know. It's hard to contextualize it because he ended
One
up
of the
being a
hardest
good.
ever, yeah.
He ended up being a good stopgap for him last year as a first round pick, though. Defined through the lens of a first round pick, I would say a disappointment through that because they were even willing to let him go after that contract expired, and then they brought him back after the Chiefs tried to sign him. His market got set. He brought the offer back. It was lower than they expected, so they decided to retain him. So I think even through that lens, it's a disappointment because I don't think he became a franchise cornerstone at any position, particularly not the position he was drafted to play either. He ended up having to move
Yeah.
inside because he couldn't play on the opposite side of the line. So I think overall, yeah, I mean, through that prism, a disappointment, but is a member of the team in general detached from the price tag, the draft stock. I think he was a solid player for them overall, outside of the expectations of a first round pick,
Right.
first half of the first round too.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's large sections of the fan base that just immediately have a bad perception of him. He struggled so much to get on the field in 2015 when he was drafted. I thought he did his best work. That 2017 Renaissance when Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram each had 1,500 yards from scrimmage, and the run game was just unstoppable. I thought he was really, really good at left guard for the team that year. He ended up making his Pro Bowls after that, 18, 19, 20. Usually, I think all three were as an alternate. Maybe only two were as an alternate. But by then, he was the first-round draft pick playing for one of the most exciting offenses in the league with the Alvin Kamara resurgence and everything like that. And then by the end, he probably had the highest fan approval ever. And expectations were at their absolute lowest, the buying stock example. And then he came in and he was a solid starter. Now, injuries were a big part of this. He went on IR with, torn pec. Like, it was just like a different injury every year, missed a lot of time because of injuries. Yeah, I don't think he lived up to first-round expectations, but he got a lot closer in the end than I ever envisioned. I think there's a lot of bigger misses on their ledger than
Oh, no doubt. There's a
Yeah.
lot of bigger
Yeah.
misses. I mean, it's just, I think when you're drafting someone in the first round, like you're expecting that to be the answer for, and he was never the answer of anything. He wasn't even an answer last year, not an expected answer. He was a stumbled upon answer. They were trying to erase him last year. So it was just kind of, I think he stepped up though. He saved last season from being a disaster. And I think overall a solid tenure, but it's just, you kind of got to detach a lot of stuff from it to kind of get to the point where you can kind of appreciate what he was. And I think the appreciation came once everything was finally detached from him. Like, I always thought he took more crap than he should have. Like, I never thought he was as bad as the fans acted like he shouldn't have been on the field. And that was never the case. Like, I thought he was fine, but it was just, just wasn't as, what was he, 15th pick or something like that? It just,
13th, yeah.
He was just never good enough to
The
be
other
the
thing
13th
that
pick.
absolutely killed him was how much they paid to re-sign him. Like, I think everybody was like, all right, Andrews Pete's been okay. If they bring him back for $8 million, that's fine. And then they signed him to a 5-year, $55 million extension. And that just made everyone mad at him all over again. Like, he's not that. Like, he needed to come in like James Hurst came in as an afterthought free agent signing, start for a few years. Like, people appreciate James Hurst way more, even though Andrews Pete was a better player who played the same two positions just because of what it cost, I think. But if back to our previous discussion, if this is how Trevor Penning's career turns out, huge win. Huge win if they
At
get
this
this.
point.
It's resurrected.
At this
Yeah.
point.
At this
At this
point.
point now.
Yeah.
At this point.
At this point now.
But because
Yeah.
it's already feels like a wash. Yeah.
Yeah,
At this
right.
point, look, if Trevor Penning gets on the field and is able to play and he's giving up sacks where he's on his back looking back at the quarterback like Andrews
That was
Pete
the other, that was
like,
the other problem.
it's fine though because it means he's on the field. Like,
Right.
he found a way to get on the field because like at this point it feels like at this point Trevor Penning's already a disappointment.
Yeah.
If he finds a way to just erase the complete loss, like it's a win. It's a win for sure.
Right. At first, I was going to say that Pete had to be a win because he was able to stay here for 9 years and be serviceable. But then when you said he was a high first-round pick, it really had me thinking, oh, wait, this dude had major expectations and barely lived up to it until it came to the point where it's like, oh, I don't know if you want to let me go or not because you're looking kind of sorry in this, and this spot. So it's kind of money, but I think solid is a good overall.
Solid's a good word.
Yeah,
for him.
solid is a good word for it.